As promised, 10K giveaway. We did it. As mentioned in our previous video, we hit that 10K milestone in subscribers, and yeah, we're just so stoked that we're able to reach that, and it's continually growing as we speak. So we had mentioned that we did have a little prize pack that we wanted to do, just kind of something small, but wanted to just show our appreciation. So we had all of you guys comment. There was a lot of comments, a lot more than usual, so you can see why everyone was commenting. Everyone wanted something. No, I'm totally kidding. But yeah, we had 423 people to go through each comment and put their name into a hat. So we will draw that. I just wanted to explain basically what you guys are getting. Obviously, we're throwing together a little clothing package for you guys. So you are going to get 3 t-shirts, a long sleeve, 3 hats, and no one's seen these yet. We do have our gold keychains. These are really special. We haven't actually even showed them yet. So someone's going to be lucky enough to get one of these, and we will hand engrave a little thing on the back of them for whoever does get it. So once we know a name, then we can kind of work with that. Along with the Bennett's kind of like little swag package, I'd mentioned that Heron Forbes Machinery House was, was happy enough to put together just a small little kind of home essentials for your shop or your shed. And what they had sent over for us was a really nice scribe. We got a 90-degree protractor, 2 stainless steel rulers. We got 2 edging seaming pliers, so you get your straight ones as well as a pair of 90-degree ones. So they're always really handy to have. And we did get I believe this is the 20-inch contour gauge. So these things come in handy when you're trying to obviously get the gauge off something you're building. This will kind of give you an exact an exact replica of what you're trying to create. It does have magnets on the back, so it's quite nice to use, but just something a little bit small. Oh, and we do have this wicked sheet metal fabrication book. It looks like it almost has something similar to the Midnight Special on it, but through this whole thing there is several amazing things to go over. I've read it a couple times, and there is a fair amount of really good knowledge in that, and they kind of cover a lot of stuff, sheet metal, welding related, and kind of everything in between. So definitely a really good book to go through if you just feel inspired, and if there's a few things you want to go through. So we're going to obviously put all this into a big package, into a box, and we are going to ship it over to some lucky winner. So without further ado, we have all 420 names stuck in here. We've mixed it around several times, and what we're going to do is I'm going to get Ben to hold it up high so I can't see. We're going to reach in here. Paper cut. Drum roll, please. And who do we have? McGow Jobs. McGow Jobs? I feel like he comments a fair bit. He's a really nice dude. So what we'll do is we're going to get in touch with you. Sorry if I've said it wrong. I think it's McGow Jobs. Anyways, we will jump over onto your page and comment on one of your things, and we'll get in touch with you. We'll get your address, and we'll hopefully you're not like on the other side of the world. No, I'm just totally kidding. But yeah, we'll get in touch with you. Congratulations, mate. You're a 10K winner. Hopefully you're stoked. We will get in contact with you. We'll get your size details and everything for the shirts. And yeah, we're probably going to do another giveaway at the 100K. But yeah, anyways, just wanted to say thank you so much again for all your support. It's been really amazing so far, the process throughout this workshop and kind of what we've been trying to achieve and do. yeah, it's just been really great to have the support, as mentioned several times, that you guys give us. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you. And we're going to get back to regular programming on another episode of Bennett's Customs starting right now. What's up, guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs on another episode. We are not on the Roadster today, but we are, in fact, working on the Midnight Special, which I'm actually quite excited about. And it is sitting here with no second gear. I believe the main shaft is chipped as well in the transmission, and an assortment of other things that we need to do to this to get this up to spec for racing. So what I need to actually do is I need to get this gearbox out to make sure and to see exactly what parts are broken. I definitely know that second gear is done, but I need to make sure the part number is the same. I kind of have a feeling there's some 37 gears in there, not 39. So I need to look at that. Still need to make a bottom belly pan for it. Might switch up the wheels and tires just for the track. Inside, you can see, if I get my trusty light out, that this is our transmission. And we'll just go underneath the steering wheel here. If you can see that, there's no teeth on second gear on quite a few of them all the way around. So I need to pull this guy out, which involves, because of the way I sort of designed it, obviously the torque tube has to pull back, and then we can pull the transmission out. So I need to drop the torque tube, pull this back. Hopefully I'll have enough room with just lifting it up. I may even use the hoist and take the coupe off. And then what I should be able to do is just undo all the bolts, take off the coupling at the end of the torque tube that attaches to the back of the transmission, remove the arm off the clutch mechanism, and that should be kind of everything I need in order to get this thing out. Once it's out, then we can inspect, figure out what's wrong with it, fix the issues, and then what I am gonna do, and I'll go through the whole lot, is actually build kind of a new shifter setup. That's actually gonna be kind of a pivot off the torque tube. It'll travel to the gearbox itself. So we're not using this big, long, stainless shifter anymore, because when I raced Collie, this was awesome. When it was in third gear, it would drop down and it would sit kind of right down here in my lap, and I could actually pinch it with my legs so it would never get out. And while racing up there, you're not really coming out of third gear. You're flat stick the whole entire time. But at Collie, there's multiple turns and multiple areas where you need to be able to slow down and pop that gear out. So I did realize that the last time I had taken this out there for the first time, I was popping out of gear all the time because of how long it was. So I want to make a nice short little shift that comes straight up off the torque tube, and then it'll travel towards the top of the gearbox. Everything will have a pivot. It'll all work, hopefully. And you know, that'll just kind of make this another step better. So yeah, basically we are making this better, and I'm excited about that. So let's get into it. I'm talking too much. So first off, I'm just going to kind of get it in an area where I like it, probably kind of where it is. And what I will have to do is actually use I could use the hoist, but that involves moving a heap of crap. So I think I'm just gonna use a sling and the back, or the engine crane, and we're just gonna lift the back of this up once we get everything mounted. Hopefully there's gonna be enough room to allow us to drop the back axle out, and then we can get this transmission removed. So I'm just gonna take the steering wheel off just to allow me a bit more area inside. I have a new steering wheel coming over actually. Steering wheel is removed. Lots of cockpit area now to work on. I'll probably pull this seat leather off. Might just set you up like this so you can see. But this is all getting changed in here. I got some leather I'm gonna get upholstered in there or have a crack at doing it myself, possibly, maybe. Okay, we need to dismount a couple of the bits and pieces here. And then we will get under, remove the U-bolts from the leaf springs at the rear axle. Yeah, so I think what had happened was as I was coming into a corner in third gear, tried to drop it down into second in the corner to kind of come out of the corner with a bit of speed. And by doing that, I dropped it too quick, let the clutch out, wheels locked up, and kaboom, blew some gears. And they're now sitting at the bottom of the gearbox. The cool thing is when I go to make my new floor, I'm gonna try and make it so I can actually like utilize the floor as my floor, or at least make it a bit lower, because unfortunately I have this kind of mid plate where my brake is, and it doesn't work that well. It's too high. My knees get kind of jammed between the steering wheel. So I want to try and sit a bit lower. Unfortunately, I can't put the seat any lower because of the torque tube, which is a bummer because I would love to sit way lower in this thing. And I think the only way I'd be able to do that is to kind of like refabricate everything and alter it and put me down on the side. But then I'd have to like remake the pipes, remake part of the body, and I think it's just a bit too much work. I was really hoping we didn't have to remove the rear end, but I kind of have a feeling I'm gonna have to undo the U-bolts and kind of pull it back in order to pull the gearbox back so I don't have to play with the motor, because the motor's got too many things on it and it's very tight. So getting that out of there would be a pain in the butt. My heel setup is actually kind of works off, it's not like a toe clutch, it actually kind of works off the heel, which is kind of a weird idea. Not sure why I came up with the idea. It also has my leg up really high, so maybe I could alter something, maybe make a different style pivot that would drop it down. All right, so I've had to basically remove the whole rear end. I'm just about to take the rear split wishbones off. Probably would have been easier to pull the grill, drain the radiator, all that stuff. I'm probably gonna have to do that anyways, especially I'm pulling the transmission out and the motor is still mounted, and so is the exhaust. And as you can see, the exhaust kind of goes all the way to the back. Not sure if I'm a huge fan of that, just with the flex. I got the jack under there kind of supporting everything, but whether or not it's in a neutral state, you know. But eventually I would like to take this motor out and stick the other one in. Whether or not I decide to do that or not at the moment, I may, you know, go with the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and just leave that motor in there and until it is broken. I mean, nothing was really ever done to the bottom end other than it was just tightened up, but it's, you know, it's not super tight by any means, but it does run really, really well, surprisingly. Still unsure, like, it's got a Collie 94 on it that I rebuilt ages ago, and it's funny because I'm actually completely unsure what jet size is in there, because when we were in Perkalili, I used a drill bit to get more juice in there, and that's exactly what I did, and it seemed to work. All right, so I'm gonna lift this up. It's kind of, I can like hear it sort of. I need to just go up the slightest amount. All right, we're free. And it's messy. No idea how far this is gonna go back. That's that little custom mid plate that I put between the torque tube and the back of the transmission. As you can see, it is absolutely full of grease and really stinky gear oil. Oh yeah, so it's stuck on the idler. Getting for my clutch now until I get it up over that. All right, I've really stitched myself up here. Oh my gosh, how did that happen? What an absolute mess. What do we got here? I think from memory, I didn't actually silicone that little mount that I made that went onto the back of the gearbox, so it would have just had a massive area, obviously. Oh yeah, there's no gasket, so. This one time, for all the Canadian guys back home, you'll know what I'm talking about with this. Some of you probably even remember, I built my big massive four-wheel drive, went out to Stave Lake where we used to go and do mud drags and that every Sunday. I used to call it Dirt Church, which was kind of funny, but literally lived and breathed that place for probably over 10 years, and met so many incredible people from that place. It was a lot of fun, and built different vehicles and yeah, more like trail specific stuff. And I did a lot of big truck stuff, and by big truck I mean like F trucks versus like Toyotas and stuff like that. Everyone always used to talk me out of buying something big because we used to four-wheel drive on really skinny trails and super hairy, like real hairy trails at that. So Taking a big truck up those was never ideal, but it was always fun. But yeah, I remember pulling a gearbox out of it, out of one of my trucks, and I had coveralls on, and I spilt it all over me, and it was like old gear oil, like the transmission hadn't been pulled apart since I had bought the trans and motor, and yeah, she was pretty stinky, and I was kind of in not a position to be able to change my clothes. It was the only ones I had on, and we were just about to go up to Stave Lake on a really nice Christmas day. It was like snowing. Everyone brought a ton of firewood up there to have a big fire. This guy made like this most incredible stew, and gave, fed everyone, and it was a lot of fun. But while standing around the fire, I had this old gear oil that had kind of dried into my clothes at this time, and the heat from the fire must have brought it out. And there was probably like 50, 60 people around this fire, and I had realized that everyone had slowly kind of lost interest in what I was talking about, probably like what you're doing right now, and they had all moved away because I smelt so bad, and I didn't even think of it, but the heat from the fire was like steaming my coveralls, and it was bringing this like horrific smelling old gear oil out, and no one wanted to be around me. So I just sat by the fire by myself and had a couple cold frothies. But yeah, it's always haunted me from now. Even the smelling like new gear oil still, yeah, it's just stinks. And then what I need to do is pour out all this rank gear oil that I probably should have just done beforehand, but oh, yep, there they are. So there, ooh, those are sharp. There's my second gear. So that's not great, but we already knew that. You can see them missing there. So I'll get this spinach and mango smoothie out of here, and then I'll throw this thing through the pod washer along with the other parts, and then we'll start to disassemble the gearbox. So she's sitting there now on its weight. Motor's propped up where it's kind of naturally resting, which is really good. So there's no more pressure on the pipes. We got all of our hardware in our little organizer. Everything else has been cleaned. We just pulled the gearbox out of the parts washer, and surprisingly I had no idea that it was red underneath, but you can see nice and clean on the inside, and if you look closely you can really now see where those gears are missing. So we've taken a couple out of that, a little chunk out of that one. Those two are missing, and then we got a couple more here. That one's gone, and it looks like this spacer is actually cracked as well, and I have a feeling on one of these sides it looks like we've actually kind of chipped a little bit off the main shaft. I know they're kind of machined, but it looks like we've taken a little bit out. But well, what we're going to do is pull this apart, and we will have a look at it and see exactly what it is. From the look at it now, I don't actually see the double synchros on either side. So this might be a 39 box, but it actually doesn't have 39 gears in it, which is kind of a bummer, but whatever. It's worked for what I've needed it for. So these might be a little bit earlier gears, maybe like 37 gears. I haven't torn apart a fair amount of these, so I actually don't know every single gear for gear per year. But what I'm going to do now is I'll pull this apart. If you guys are super interested in wanting to know how to actually disassemble these and rebuild these, Zach at Wired Customs, he's got an incredible YouTube channel. I'm sure a lot of you guys are already familiar with his channel, but for those who aren't, definitely hit him up. He's super has tons of information about all sorts of things kind of related to early Fords, which is great. Everything from wiring. He's actually just chopped a coupe just recently live, which was really neat. He's building a couple of project cars himself, but he does go through, he is a bit of a whiz when it comes to transmissions. And so he kind of explains different years and shows you exactly how to take them apart and install them back together the right way. So if you guys are interested and want to know how to do that, definitely hit him up on his channel, Wired Customs. His name is Zach. He's a legend. So definitely jump over there if you want to learn more. So I'm going to put you on a time lapse. We're going to rip this thing apart and we're going to see what has done all the damage. Okay, so what we have here is a side shift box, probably from like a mainliner or something. So I've personally never done this before, but I have seen it done. And I'm gonna try and show you guys how it's done as I'm learning it as well and hoping I'm kind of doing it the right way. There's probably gonna be a few of you that would kind of explain it differently. But I'm just going to try my best in order to kind of learn as I go. I kind of have, you know, an idea of how it all works. So what ended up happening is this is my top loader box. It's a 36 box. And I blew up the cluster gear, obviously, as you just saw, of the lower cluster gear and the second gear as well. So it's pretty hard to find parts for it. I had a massive pile of stuff and some of the cluster gears do somewhat match up, but the ends of them are different for the thrust washers. So I'm not too sure if something could work or if I could modify it. But what I'd like to do is pull this apart, have a suss. I've already pulled the side plate off. I've looked at the gears. They look really, really nice. It's been sitting for a while, but that's okay. But they have synchros, which is awesome. I do not have synchros in that box. So maybe having synchros would be a lot nicer to drive. So what I'm going to attempt to do is kind of dismantle and strip this down. And then we're going to inspect the gears, have a close look at them, maybe count the cluster gear as well, see if it's relatively the same as what we have or maybe a little bit better. And then I'm going to kind of explain and hopefully we can retrofit these cluster gears into this top loader box, as well as I have new bearings and gasket kit and everything for this. So we'll clean all this up, paint it, and get everything installed. So I'm going to be kind of learning on this along the way because I've never actually fitted these gears into this box. I've done different setups just with swapping out gears and putting them in these boxes, but never from a side shift box. So the cool thing is like I mentioned, they do have synchros. So synchros would be really nice. So what we're going to try to do is attempt to pull all this apart, pull the gears out, as well as I had mentioned in the previous video, I need to make like a shift relocation post. So what that means is I need to where the box comes up and you have your standard shifter come out of it. I need to cut that shift arm off, and we need to design and make a kind of like a pin, and it has to locate more towards the back of the car. I'm actually going to use the torque tube because there is not really a whole lot of movement in that torque tube as it is, almost none. I've kind of put a little rubber mount up underneath where the leaf spring goes into the Model A cross member, and then it sits on top of the diff housing itself, and then it's usually strapped down. I had a bit of play in it, and it had kind of a bit of a suspension lift. I still need to do the shocks. That's going to be another video. But I really like the way that it handles almost being solid mounted in the rear, which originally from day one, this was going to be a full solid mounted rear axle in this frame. It was just going to be bolted straight into it, but then kind of went down the route of trying to do suspension. But you know, it's nice to have that little bit of give that that bushing allows, just purely on the back. If you do hit kind of like a bump, it doesn't hurt too bad. But I think I should be able to get away with making the tab kind of come off that and be able to relocate that shift handle back kind of closer between my legs and a little shorter of a handle so it doesn't pop out of gear. So what we're going to do, but what I was going to mention is it's got all these nice little shift arms that are on here, and it's got these really nice clevises that kind of go through. So maybe we can kind of use these in order to make the setup. So again, adapting and using parts that we have. You know, it's always fun to try and create things with, you know, standard parts, but then we can customize them and make them into something that's, you know, completely different to what they were designed for. So what we're going to do, let's pull this apart. We're going to have a look at the gears and see what's going to happen. I have no idea if this is going to work. I may be wasting a bit of time. Quite honestly, I should just pull the 36 box out of the Roadster behind me. That has a complete box. The gears are straight cut. They're not helical, but that's okay. Suppose I could make it work, but it'd be cool to know, you know, this is kind of a learning experience for myself, as well as hopefully I'm kind of helping you guys. Maybe you got a couple of these boxes laying around and you want to try and tackle the job. Make a nice, you know, 39 box with sinkers in it. Okay, I'm already kind of learning something. I should have, you know, you can sit down, get a breakdown of the manual of this, see how it all operates, to be able to pull it apart. I know how those ones all work. They're very easy to pull apart. But these ones, a little bit different. I'm just gonna lay it on its side here. I believe that's our 3-inch wide fork that I'm kind of hoping I can adapt this to my other shift top loader shift housing. Not sure yet, but we're gonna try something there. After further inspection, the cluster gear definitely has quite a few corners missing. So I don't know. all the gears, and they don't look very good. All right, so a complete change of plans. Basically, I have only a real small amount of days to get this thing back on the road for a show that's happening next Sunday for a charity event that our friends are putting on. In order to get it there, if I were to get the parts I need for this, and what I just explained is I just pulled this apart, kind of off camera. Unfortunately, the cluster gear is missing quite a lot of the bottom of these teeth, as well as second gear is pretty shoddy as well. So I'm not really willing to just put kind of like another set of half decent gears in this thing, knowing that I'll probably, you know, they won't last very long. So I've kind of done a bit of a run around. I thought I had another 39 box, but I've sold it. And I've gone through my pile of all my gears, and all my cluster gears are just slightly different. So I'm not really too happy with, you know, what I have in order to put it in there to make it work properly. So what I'm gonna do is, there is a gentleman that has a cluster gear that will work, but unfortunately he is over east, so by the time it arrives here, it'll be like mid to late next week, and that's too close to the time frame. So I'm gonna pull the 36 box out of the Roadster. I just had a look at it. It's got really clean gears. They're straight cut, but they're all really clean, like really nice. So I'm gonna pull that whole gearbox out. I'm gonna put it through the wash pod. I'm gonna clean it very well. I'm gonna stick fresh gear oil in there. I'm gonna wire wheel it. I'm gonna paint the transmission. I'm gonna stick it back in the race car, and I will build the other one on camera, ready to go, and that will kind of just be a backup one for the meantime. I'll run this one until further notice. I mean, I'd like to say hopefully I'll run it and I'll have maybe an engine swap or something if we decide to keep it, and I would like to build like a really nice flathead for it. Then I could potentially pull that 21 side out with the gearbox, put this really nice 3-speed 39 box with synchros into it, and then, you know, I can still use that other one for another project. But basically right now, this is just purely a mock-up. So I'm gonna pull this box out. I'm gonna swap it for this one, just put an empty one in. I feel like I've done a lot of transmission swaps already with this thing. But this one's good and it's complete. So I could essentially just take this, clean it up, stick it in there, and then this thing is a runner again, which would be extremely exciting because I'm dying to drive it. So I think I'm gonna do that. And you know, it doesn't take that long to pull it out. There's a few things here and there that you kind of need to remove and stuff. I just dropped the belly pan off the bottom. That's just over here. You can see it's got a lot of debris sitting in the bottom there. So I'll clean that up. We'll stick that back on afterwards. But for now, I'm gonna pull this gearbox out. We're gonna clean it. We're gonna stick it in here. And then we still have to make that shift relocation thing. So kind of annoying. I was kind of really looking forward to pulling all the gear out of that side shift box and making it all work. I'm just not quite happy with the condition of the gears. So I just don't think it's worth the time of putting the new bearings in and doing it all, and then just not quite having really nice gears. And this one has really, really nice ones. So I'm happy to use it. So yeah, we're gonna pull this out right now, clean it up, and it's going in there. So a huge debacle, but we've got it covered. I pulled that side shift box apart. I wasn't really happy with the teeth, like I mentioned. I pulled the 36 box out. That would have worked, but everything was kind of seized. It needed a little bit of work, and I was just still sitting with all the stuff. So I had removed everything from the gearbox. It's all laid out here. I got a little tray. This just allocates where all the hardware is, and then we kind of have everything laid out. What I actually did was I took the teeth right off of second gear. 2 there, massive chunk missing, and another one here, and the corner missing off that one. So that happened. I thought, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. I looked at my little spare parts thing, bang, had another second gear, same teeth, the whole lot. But then I looked at the cluster gear. The cluster gear also had a bunch of teeth missing. So I did a pretty good job on this. What I ended up doing was, I'm just gonna pull this one out. I just test fit it to make sure it was gonna work. Oh, this is another cluster gear that I just had in a pile of parts. But it had this different top on it for where the thrust washer would go. As you can see, it's kind of got these 4 indentations where this one's kind of got these 2 little flat spot pressed in, and then this piece sits over top of it. Now, I went through, spoke to tons of guys, was gonna buy a whole nother cluster gear setup to match the same ratio that these are with the teeth count. And I randomly found one. So this one is pretty rough on this side, as you can see. So obviously this piece and the cluster gear that this came off of may have sat in a bit of water for a while, but it's still okay. I've cleaned off the backside. It's gonna work for what I kind of need it for. It sits on there. This locks into place. Everything is the perfect same height. I still have my little one that sits in here with the pin on it. And we have a new thrust washer for the front. So that'll sit in there with the little locating tab kind of to the front. So now we can go through. I've already pressed on a new bearing. The old one was pretty bad. I wonder if that's it. Nah, the old one's in the bag. That one was rough as. It sounded like it had been dipped into a bunch of sand, and then you were trying to spin it over. So the great thing is we have everything laid out. Everything is cleaned. I put it through the wash pod across the street. Last night, just before leaving, I just gave this a quick coat of paint. It's just rattle can. It's not 2-pack, unfortunately, but it will do the job. Inside is still really clean, and we are basically kind of ready to assemble this. So I'm going to try to do a detailed assembly on this, but like I've mentioned before in the videos, you definitely want to go over to Wired Customs and watch Zach Sparks. He is a guru with early Ford transmissions. Even yesterday, I actually sent him a few videos on this thrust washer and just kind of asked a few questions, and right away he hit me up, kind of answered all the questions I had, gave me a ton of confidence that this is going to work anyways, and then dry fitting it in the gearbox, it all works. So he's going to be the man if you want to learn how to fully rebuild a transmission, disassemble and rebuild. It's very funny actually. Lee from LG Customs, he has just done his side shift box for his sedan, and he mentioned that he'd been watching the videos of Zach's, and I'm actually doing the same even right now. Definitely go over to his page and have a look and click subscribe on his, and yeah, you'll learn a boat ton of stuff, which is awesome. So, all right, so what we're gonna do is get you set up on the tripod, and then I'm just gonna kind of explain what I'm doing, and we're gonna go through what needs to be done here. So let's get at it. All right, so we got the gearbox in. I've just pressed on the bearing onto the, input shaft that goes into the back of the motor. And I've also pressed on a sealed type bearing for the output shaft that goes to the back of the transmission. And I've just used a little press over there. We pressed them on, they go on really nicely. I've kind of gone through the bearings that sit in the cluster gear. I've just put a bit of assembly grease on those just to kind of help everything lubricated before we fill this thing up full of gear oil. And now I'm watching Zach's assembly video again as I'm doing this. So really, like, if you want a very in-depth, if you want like an in-depth video on how to do this, I highly recommend going over to Zach's video and watching it. He's so good at it. He explains it really well. His table's really lit up well. The picture's good, so it's really nice to kind of see exactly how he does it. He sort of dry fits it and then also explains how to do final assembly with lubricating certain bits. So what I'm gonna do is actually watch his video, put you on the time lapse, and I'll kind of get this together, and then I'll kind of go through a few times and stop and kind of let you know what I'm doing. Okay, well, gearbox is assembled, finally. That wasn't too bad. It was very nice to be able to kind of have reference to Zach's videos and just go through that. I had kind of basically put it all together and realized that in the lower cluster gear, there's actually two sets of bearings that sit on opposite side of a sleeve. And there's a short and a long bearing, and I put both short bearings in the cluster gear and thinking that the upper output shaft bearing inside was the long one, and it wasn't. So I had to remove it all and do it again. So that's okay, you know, practice makes perfect. So this is it all set in. It's actually just sitting in the reverse gear at the moment. This is the reverse here. So that's usually where it would sit, and then it drops in down into that little idler down there, which then connects to the cluster gear at the bottom. and this thing is nice and smooth. I ended up, was able to actually get a sealed bearing for the back, so not kind of like your open style, similar to that. There was actually a part number and was able to reference it and got a sealed bearing for the back, which was really nice. So basically we got it all set up, got the throw out on there, our little spring. We've got our gasket and silicone on the back side, and we put a bit of sealer on all of our bolts as well. But yeah, she's, wherever her little thing is, yeah, she's ready to go, which is very exciting. I cannot wait to get this back in the car and then figure out our little shift relocation setup. So what I'm gonna do now is just put the back transmission mount that I've made on the back here, along with our little coupling. And then we have the two-piece part there that will go over top of the end of the torque tube that will pivot on this ball. So we're just gonna pack this full of grease, get this on there. I just heard it for the first time off camera. The GoPro died, and I was eager to know whether or not it actually grabbed gears. So I put the shift tower on and started it for the first time in ages, and it was just that beautiful music to my ears. Now, I need to fill up the gearbox full of oil. I am using an 85 140. I think some guys use like even thicker or even like an 80-90 weight. I don't know. I've used this basically the whole time that we've built this car, and I've had no issues with it. So I'm just going to use it again. And the best thing is I've left the top off so I can just fill it up to the drain plug. We will have it all ready. Make sure you put your drain plug in too before you do this. Look at that. Green goo.
Better than what came out of it.
Definitely better than what came out of it. Yeah, I'm unsure. I've heard lots of guys use thicker stuff or even actually using like motor oil as well, like 50 weight or 10W30 or 20, I think. But yeah, who knows? I know that this has worked for us, so I'm just gonna get it right up just underneath the where you fill the fill plug, just down on the corner here, and then that'll virtually give us, maybe we'll just do one for good measure. Look at that. Good to go. So now what I'd like to do is actually kind of get it back together. I'm going to put the shift tower back on, steering wheel, put the seat in, get the door up, run this thing up, and just do a couple passes around the block, just making sure that everything is in working order. Fingers crossed, everything ticks boxes, it shifts and does what it's supposed to. Then we can roll it back in and start to measure up for this shift relocation kind of thing I've been mentioning throughout the video. So let's get the tower on and get the seat in. The last of it, wheel, it's glued, sandblasted it, clear coated it, kind of made it look like cast. Still think it'd look really neat with maybe a few holes drilled in it, but I also just like the simplicity of it as well. The last piece of the puzzle, I just got eager, went to move everything, went to start it, and Ben asked if I needed a steering wheel. Jumped the gun, got a bit too excited. There we go. It's got steering. It's got steering slop, just the way we like it. So this is obviously what we're going to try and eliminate too. So depending on how long this video is, we may cut it to another one. But it's time. The time is now. The time is now. We must take this around the block and make sure everything works. I bent the shift knob. Let's see if it'll get third. Yep. Cool. Maybe head gasket? Add it to the list. I'll do a loop around here. I need to bend the shifter to get it into second. All right, we are gonna take this to the house. This is really exciting. This is basically the first time my dad's seen the race car, but my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, and Ben, my nephew, who is so excited to see this car, has been talking about it for ages. We are gonna go and roll in. They have no idea that I'm here. And then we are going to go for a little lap around the block with Ben. So I'm very excited. So let's lock the GoPro on and let's get there.
Last night, shook my hand in the air and then said
buddy?
Where do you want it?
It's gonna be kind of a tight fit, but we'll make it work. All right, can you put your feet on there? Can you put them on there? Is that okay? Is that all right? Yeah? Sorry, bud. So don't make sure you don't touch those pipes on the outside, okay? And then I'm going to put it up in the second gear so we can, then you're just going to sit right here with me. Is that alright like that?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're just going to keep your elbow in. Okay, ready? Pretty cool? Yeah? It's stinky, isn't it? Red light down there? That means it's on. Just gotta make sure no cars are coming. Go around the cul-de-sac. Pretty cool? Woohoo! How was that?
Dad.
Was that cool?
Yeah.
Jordan, before you get out, I gotta get a pic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You gotta get a pic. You gotta get a pic. Yeah.
Look at L7 weenie.
L7 weenie.
Ben, how awesome is that, bud?
I want more driving.
You want more driving?
Yeah.
All right, we can go do more.
Cheese.
Cheese. Do you want to hear the engine, or do you like the earphones on?
I want to hear the engine.
Okay, so you don't want those?
No.
Okay. And remember, you can hold on here if you want, but you just don't want to touch those pipes down here, okay?
Okay.
Otherwise, it's gonna go burn. Get it into gear. All right, ready? was that?
Good.
Oh, it's so good.
Ah!
Oh. How excited are you?
Was that cool or what?
It's gonna have to happen again sometime.
Oh yeah, we can do it lots, bud. Now that I got it fixed, we can do it anytime. Yes. What do you think, bud? Was that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you like it? Oh, I'm very happy you like it.
I want to go more.
You want to go more?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so do I. We probably should. All right, well, that was extremely fun. And yeah, definitely, you know, real close to home and, you know, a few little tweaks on the heartstrings, being able to show the family this and especially just show Ben and take him for a little drive. He's, you know, obviously he's Ben, but his full name is Bennett, which is really special, and that's kind of obviously plays into the shop as well. So it was very special to be able to take him for a little drive on the other side of the world. And you know, he's watched it with his dad and my sister from day dot, so that was really cool to be able to do. You know, and you know, in the future we'll be able to take Hudson for a little lap, so that'll be really fun. But it's yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. This one was really special. It was just really fun to be able to show everyone and that, and hopefully you enjoyed and learned a little something from the shifter. It works amazing, so I'm super happy to be able to take it onto the dirt, which is coming up in a couple weeks, which is very exciting. So yeah, please like and subscribe, hit that notifications button, and we'll see you on another episode of Bennett's Customs. See you. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Say bye. Bye everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.